Hello, Gems. It's Chetty. How's everybody doing? So I'm here giving you guys the latest scoop on me. It's gonna be 2 weeks that I've been laid off, and wanted to share with you guys how's it been going. Uh, First, I want to just rewind it. So when I was first told that I was going to get laid off, I was being laid off, and I was dealing with that. I think it was the next day. I want to say, I don't know if it was the same evening or the next day. And I looked in the mirror, right? And I just got this sense of sadness out of nowhere come over me, right? Like, but it was really quick. It didn't stay. The instant that that feeling of sadness came over me, I heard God tell me, take care of yourself. Don't let yourself go. And I was like, wow, when I heard that, right? It was so strong when it came upon me, those words. Don't take care of yourself, don't let yourself go, was I believe is how I heard it. And so it was important to me, and I knew God knew me because based on my past experiences, or if anybody else has been through this where you've hit rock bottom, or something sad has happened to you, or something, a heartbreak, whatever it could be. Some people, I know, if I experienced this, tend to let ourselves go, not care about ourselves, um, not get laid up, stuck in bed, uh, don't work out, don't go to the gym, um, don't take showers. Ladies don't, if you did wear makeup, you stop wearing makeup, which is okay, right? To skip these things a couple of days in order for you to get your mind to recalibrate and understand what's going on, right? But I knew he was telling me this because based on my past experiences, when I've been through stuff, there were stages in my life that I did let myself go and I didn't want to take care of myself. And I even have like a couple of pictures from my past that when I see them, I know exactly what I was going through at that time in my life. And I remember how each one of those experiences that I went through, there was a time of me letting myself go, right? But at some point, I was able to pick myself up again. And so when I heard that, I knew God was preparing me for what's coming with this layoff, the mind thoughts, the spiritual warfare, what people would say, things I would be seeing, reading, job, the economy, whatever have you. So I know God was telling me that to prepare my mind and my soul not to get into a place of giving up, quitting, and not being mindful of myself. And so the last couple of days, what I have been doing, I have been staying in bed a couple of times. I walk my dog and stuff like that. But there have been a couple of days where I'll just stay in the bed and just relax and enjoy the fact that I don't have to be in the train at a certain time. And that's okay, right? And there were a couple of days I didn't work out, and there were a couple of days I did work out, go to the gym or do my YouTube workouts. And so it was, it was interesting how I could start to see a little bit of a spiritual warfare coming at me with that. And one of the things I did after a couple days was that I let myself process, mourn a little bit. There's still things I need to mourn. You know what I mean? When you lose a job. For me, my I noticed a couple of days later was that I was always used to doing something, being productive, doing things, and I found myself I don't do those same duties that I used to do when I was at work. So I'm home going through, like, what do I do now, right? And so I what I understand now is that I have to retrain my nervous system, recalibrate myself into the new, because the old way of life, my old job, right? I was used to a rhythm. And so my nervous system was used to that. It was familiar. And so what I was understanding now is that my nervous system was freaking out because I wasn't doing the things that I used to do. So I have to prepare my nervous system and um, calm myself and prepare my nervous system and me for the new thing. Because what's unfamiliar, the nervous system, your body starts to freak out and not know what it is. And they say that the body, when the body is put out of sync with something they're used to doing and it's an unfamiliar thing, there's a form of protection that manifests in the body to protect your mind. And so I realized what I was experiencing. Like I was starting to feel a little bit like a kink in me, right? Because I wasn't flowing the way I used to flow, and in doing my old job. And so I found myself trying to calm my nerves down. I felt some kind of little tiny bit of anxiety coming up because I just didn't know what to do next. And even though this is a time for me to recalibrate, and I know it's for me to prepare for the new that God has for me, I just have to figure out how do I transition with this, right? And so one of the things is writing, learning new skills, right? Taking classes, online courses, whatever it may be. And so it was me reminding myself of what I'm going to be doing the time off that I'm not working now. And so it's now I have the whole day to do it, right? So I have to figure out how to allot my time with certain duties and detoxify myself from doing the old duties that I used to do. Detoxify myself from my old coworkers when we would collaborate on projects and duties and things like that. And so that's where I'm in right now. I'm doing a lot better the last couple of days. And one of the things I did after a while was that I noticed I was gonna take another day to just stay in and just I don't know, like write and catch up on my personal duties that I had to do, accounts and stuff like that. But let me just backtrack. I did go out a couple of days, like about a week ago, to do some appointments that I had. But what it was is that what God is showing me to do and asking me to do is that even though I don't have anywhere to go, still be on point and intentional about living my life. And so the other day I was going to do that again and just stay in my pajamas and just do what I have to do in my pajamas in the house. But I felt strongly, and I heard like, no, get dressed, uh, put some makeup on, whatever makeup you put on, and to be present. As I'm speaking, that's the word I got, to be present. And so I did that. I got up, I put clothes on. If I acted like as if I were going to work. I got dressed, I put my makeup on, and I started doing what I needed to do in the house and in my neighborhood, more presentable. You know what I mean? Not uh, looking bummy or bota, like they say in Spanish. Bota means like thrown away and stuff like that. So that's something that I felt that I know that God is doing, because He also making sure that I'm not only presentable but prepared for what is coming my way, to stay on point with myself, my body, my mind, and mentally and emotionally. And so if you're in a place where you are stagnant, complacent, spirit of laziness upon you, or you're bored, get intentional with your life and take your life back. Okay, get up, get yourself dressed. Guys, put some cologne on if you can. Put some cologne on. Wear a nice outfit and be intentional in your household and present with your life, and do whatever the duties is that you need to do pertaining to your calling and your purpose. Ladies, get dressed. If you want to put slacks on, if you put a nice pair of jeans on, even if you wore jeans at the job or you wore slacks at the job, whatever it is, just get up and put on a nice outfit. Put some makeup on if you're a makeup girl, and if you're not, that's fine also. Just look presentable upon yourself and unto God in your house, because I believe that even though some of us may not be working, or some of us are working, we come to a place of complacency. God wants us to be presentable and intentional living, because I got like that too in the season of my life and my job, because I was there so long. I was just getting like tired and bored that I caught myself just throwing anything on, and like starting to look like bota, like I didn't care. And I remember I had to check myself, and God checked me on that also. And of course, if you have coworkers who care about you, they'll check on you like, hey, you okay? You're not, dress up the way you used to dress up and stuff like that, because sometimes there can be an underlying issue when some people start to not take care of themselves mentally, emotionally, and physically. Be aware of your coworkers, lifestyle, their mindset. I had a coworker years ago who, we all noticed after a while, he was just seemed off. There was something off about him. You know what I mean? And he used to dress up. He used to dress up to the nine, all dressed up and nice. And after like maybe a year or two, he just wasn't dressing up the way he used to dress up. He would uh, wear the same outfits all the time. And just something was up, but we couldn't pinpoint it. Even though you can ask a coworker, "Are you okay?" They're always gonna say okay, right? So just pray to God to give you discernment. If you have coworkers like that that have that kind of habits, that they came in looking good when they first started, all of a sudden they start to downturn. There could be a depression or sadness or some mental illness or some physical ailment that's causing them to not take care of themselves the way they used to. And it turned out my coworker, he was really sick, and he passed away. You know, and it was so sad when we found out his lifestyle, because we thought everything was okay because he would always come to work all happy and whatever, but then we knew something was off. And to come to find out that he had a pretty he was suffering, and he wasn't sharing certain things that he was going through with people at the job. So on the outside, sometimes things are okay, but like I said, later on, whatever was going on inside him started to manifest in his outfit and his demeanor and his manera de ser, the way he dressed and stuff like that. And so I just felt, I don't know why, but it's just a God thing for me to share this with you guys. I have a heart for people in the workplace. That's one of the things that God's placed in my heart for people in the workplace, employees, because I know it's not. Some people have it rough at the job, and some people don't know how to navigate or work in a job with joy, right? And so for me personally, God brought me to a place for years to learn to come out of being upset, miserable, or boo me, or victim mindhood, or whatever it is. And God showed me and guided me out of that mindset and showed me how to have joy in the workplace and be a light to people in the workplace and bring in the gospel and bring in um, uh, how can I say, togetherness, good looking out. It wasn't just a work atmosphere that was better, but I became intentional about knowing my coworkers' lives and see how they're doing and checking up on them. And so I don't have that now. And so what God is guiding me to, I want you to get back at that place where be intentional for yourself, be presentable for yourself and out to me, right? Because this is just a transition for me for my next, whatever that may look like, just like you guys. And so if you're in a place where you're feeling a little downtrodden, you just feel like you're not taking care of yourself the way you used to, if you have a job or if you've been laid off and you can't find a job, get into a position and be intentional about your life. John Maxwell says the same thing. I think it's one of his books. He did a talk about that a couple of years ago, is that we need to be intentional about living our life, right? And so even though I'm home, right, I am enjoying it because I'm able to do things in my house and enjoy my pets more and be around my son more, and just take the season of rest and recalibration to figure out what my next move is. Also, God wants me to also be alert and presentable and intentional about being in the household and in my neighborhood, and just preparing, because this, I don't know how long this unemployment is going to happen. I'm not freaking out. I'm not having too much anxiety about it. I'm just going to prayerfully pray onto God and figure out what my next move and where He wants me to go, He wants me to go, whether it's a new company or maybe I start my own business, right? Like I said, I've been in the jewelry industry for so many years, and so my mind has all these thoughts right now. But I also like to encourage people and speak life into people, right? So that's for me and God to show me the blueprint for what He has next for me. Okay. And so if you guys are in a place of downtroddenness and stuff like that, it's okay to take a step back and recalibrate and rest and figure it out. But don't get stuck in that place of stagnation and laziness, right? And so even with me, even if it's 3 days out of the week for me to get dressed up and do something, even if it's just to go do an errand, or uh, write, do my research on the computer for whatever it is he's calling me to do. I'm making myself intentional to get dressed, put some makeup on. I'm making. I mean, like the other thing for me is like I don't have a lunch schedule now, right? So I worked in the city, and so that was for me. It was cool. I would like everybody. I'm sorry. Everybody knew that one of the things I like to do was to go out for a walk and check out the stores and stuff like that, just to get my mind set and take a breath out of the office. And so now I don't have that, right? I mean, I'm home now. I can make my lunch here. I can go out in my neighborhood and make and buy lunch, but where there's not too many varieties where I live, right? Because I'm in my neighborhood where I live. Where in the city you have all these places to eat and stuff like that, so many different choices, right? So even with that, like with my lunch break, I was like, what am I gonna do? Like I'm stuck home now. I'm used to all the different foods and stuff like that, and so that's another thing where today God was like, I said I really miss the salads that I used to get at the city, but um, I didn't have any, and so I was led to go to buy the ingredients and stuff at the store and make my salads, right? And so it's not that I didn't do it before, right? Because I have made salads and I brought it to my job. But what God is making sure is that I keep moving, right? Keep moving, rest, keep moving, rest, right? He's guiding me to do certain things. And so if it's just 3 days a week that you guys have to just get up, get dressed, take a shower, please, thank you, do your hair, go to the barbershop, guys, whatever it is that you need to do, like just to get yourself functional and being living in the present, to get out of that funk. You do those little small steps and your body starts to catch up and you get to a state of flow, right? And your mind starts to perk up, your 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 nervous system starts to recalibrate into the new thing that you're doing, and you come into a place of flow. And with that mindset and that state of flow, you start to shift the atmosphere in your life, right? And you continue that pace of consistency while God is guiding you into whatever new He has for you. And also, you're going to be shutting off any oppressive thoughts, any oppressive attacks that are trying to keep you guys bound in whatever situation you're in that's trying to imprison you. Okay? I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm sorry if it doesn't. I'm just sharing, and as I'm sharing my experiencing, I hear God downloading stuff in me. So whoever this is for, I pray that God illuminates to you and He just gives you revelation about what I have to say that will impact your life in some way, your soul. And so, like I said, what's this other stuff? I wrote so much stuff down. I was just like writing stuff on my journal, guys. Oh, the other thing that I am doing, I've already done it. So my first unemployment visit is going to be on Monday. It's a first physical interview they do. So that's my first appointment. So that is, happening on Monday. So I'm happy I'm getting that out the way. Because that was one of the things that I was just trying to navigate, like go no. And so I feel like, okay, now that I have my appointment with unemployment, I have that down packed, right? And so it'll give me, I don't know, I think for me it'll give me a sense of more of a direction where God is guiding me. And what I did also, I've signed up for networking events, because I've always been into networking events, like I said in the past. But I feel that I definitely don't want to isolate myself in my apartment. I want to stay connected with other adults. Um, and so what I'm doing is I'm going on Eventbrite, and even I get emails from other department stores and companies that do networking events. So I'll get like invites and things like that. So I've already signed up for two networking events in the city, and so I'm excited about that because after a while, it's like some people, you can get a little bit stir crazy being in your apartment, and so I'm definitely taking advantage of that. And so if you guys are in a place where your friends are working or you don't have any people to hang out with, I would encourage you guys to go on Eventbrite and just connect with networking events The ones that I am joining, the events that I'm going to are all business events, right? Because I want to stay connected to the fashion industry. I want to stay connected to the jewelry industry, right? So I need that because I'm not working right now, and like I said, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go next after this. And so it's important for me to stay connected to people who are working, who are in the industry. And it's like they say, it's not always what you know, it's sometimes who you know, right? And so I want to continue creating and developing new relationships and maybe new friendships through networking events. Okay. And so, guys, I would encourage you guys to go on Eventbrite, wherever you live, and look at events that could probably help you in your career or even do some fun stuff. Because I even use Eventbrite with my friends to go find something to do in the city. Okay. So I know it's crazy outside. I know people who are afraid to go outside because there's violence and things happening, but I personally can't not let fear keep me contained or um, isolated, right? I've, I pray and I ask God to protect me, and I make sure I'm mindful, aware wherever I go, in order for me to be able to go out and do certain things that I want to do. You know what I mean? I don't want to be in a place where I'm creating my own prison because I'm afraid of the violence that's manifesting outside, right? And so I don't believe God wants us to be like that, to be afraid and not go outside. But I also know that um, is aware of it. But I believe also it's He knows more than anybody. That's a way for the enemy to try and keep you contained and isolated from everybody else, and that's not good. We need human contact. It is not good for man to be alone or woman to be alone, right? There's a season for us to isolate, maybe chill. Like I like my alone time. I'm an introvert slash extrovert, but I like to go out and explore. I'm a very curious person, and I like to go out and explore and learn new things and see new things. Okay, so that's all I have to say about now. I hope you guys are all well. Keep me in prayer, and we'll see what God has going forward for me to share with you guys. Okay, all right, bye bye.